Everyone knows the story. Robert's rebellion is raging, King's Landing is falling, and Jaime Lannister drives his sword through the back of the Mad King. But leading up to that moment, Jaime was a 15-year-old boy trapped in a waking nightmare. King Aerys placed him on the Kingsguard purely to spite Tywin Lannister, forcing Jaime to stand in utter silence for months while the king tortured lords and the Red Keep echoed with screams. During that time, Jaime discovered a secret no one else knew. Aerys had zero intention of surrendering. He had buried caches of volatile wildfire beneath every street, tavern, and gate, planning to burn the entire population to ash if the city fell. Jaime waited until the literal last second to break his oath. He stopped the annihilation of 500,000 people only when the order to burn the city was given, accepting a lifetime of disgrace to do it. Let's rewind the clock. Imagine an alternate timeline where Jaime hits his breaking point months earlier. The war is still being fought in the Riverlands. Tywin Lannister's army is hundreds of miles away, and Jaime realizes no one is coming to stop the madness. So the teenager acts on impulse. Alone with the king, he draws his sword and strikes Aerys down. This early assassination doesn't end the war on the spot. It creates an immediate, gaping power vacuum. The rebellion originally ignited because Aerys murdered Lord Stark and demanded the heads of Ned and Robert. By taking Aerys out of the equation early, the rebellion loses the exact tyrant they were fighting against. Every opposing lord in Westeros has to stop and decide what they are actually fighting for. The rebels never set out to wipe the Targaryen bloodline from the map. They were fighting for their own survival against a deeply paranoid ruler. With Aerys dead, Rhaegar assumes the throne. Respected and disciplined, Rhaegar offers leaders like Jon Arryn a viable path to peace, splintering the rebellion. Tywin Lannister sees this shift, marches to King's Landing, and locks in an alliance with the new king. A single death alters the trajectory of Westeros. A bloody, continent-spanning revolution dissolves into a tense, high-stakes diplomatic standoff. Because Tywin arrives as an ally, the gates of King's Landing remain intact. There is no siege, and there is no brutal sack of the city. The mountain never storms the Red Keep. Elia Martell and her young children survive, erasing the multi-generational blood feud that would eventually consume House Martell and Dorne. Across the sea, Viserys and Daenerys never have to flee in the middle of the night. They never become hunted exiles wandering Essos. Instead, they grow up safely within the walls of the Red Keep as privileged members of the royal family. Averting the destruction of the capital preserves the Targaryen dynasty entirely, stopping decades of cyclical revenge from ever taking root. Peace always comes with a price. By keeping the royal family intact, this timeline incubates an even larger threat, one named Jon Snow. Originally, Ned hid Jon because the Targaryens were gone, but with Rhaegar ruling, a legitimate son by Lyanna Stark is infinitely more dangerous. Jon becomes a volatile bargaining chip. His claim poses a direct threat to Rhaegar's heirs, destabilizing Dorne's alliance. Sparing the realm from Robert's rebellion practically guarantees a massive succession crisis, a new civil war, decades down the line, fought over two competing branches of the Targaryen tree, which brings us back to the boy who started it all. Because Jaime struck early, Aerys never had the chance to order the ignition of the wildfire. The horrific plot to burn the city to the ground remains completely hidden from the public. To the rest of Westeros, there is no nuance or hidden heroism. Without the sack of the city to overshadow his crime, they just see an arrogant Lannister teenager who murdered his king. He becomes an absolute pariah, completely isolated. That is the ultimate paradox. By acting on a single impulsive instinct, a 15-year-old boy inadvertently saves millions of lives, preserves a dynasty, and rewrites the history of Westeros, only to be despised even more by the exact world